Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here with yet another one of my mad videos. Hope everyone's well wherever you are. And as it's the 27th today, I want to cover, and I've been planning to cover, what I would love to reward. So if people do good things for me, how I hope to reward it and always pay back the favour. I suppose sometimes I use the word reward loosely, or payback. So if people do me wrong, sometimes I partly jokingly say, like a psychopath, I'd love to reward them back. But generally speaking, I'd love to focus on the actual rewards or positive things and ways I would pay back, and the actual meaning of reward. That is. So yeah, here are some of the things I hope to reward, and I suppose I'd love to sit down with individuals and groups and organisations and even businesses and whatnot, as much as possible, as often as possible and whatnot, and talk about how I would love to reward them. So yeah, what's the fairest way to reward them, basically. So what I think of, I don't have a huge amount of money, to be fair, to be honest with you. And to be honest, I don't know if I should admit this, but being unemployed, I don't have a huge amount of money. But yeah, I think it would be like through sharing information. I talked about this a while back, but sharing information could be like flyers, leaflets, business cards, spiritual or religious information, Qurans, Bibles, or anything else that people want me to share. Websites, for instance, I'm not sure if I mentioned that one, but websites, business cards, flyers, leaflets, or any other information they want me to share, and things like that. I sometimes call it 1, 2, or for one, or like for like. But that's what I want to do, really. The better way of explaining it would be like for like, so paying back what people, in the fairest possible way, what I think they do for me. I hope to reward the favour. Although I suppose if I tell them in advance rather than do it like as a surprise, it does ruin it a little bit. But I'd love to make the fairest possible deal. But anyway, I think that covers everything for the intro. And here are some of the things I hope to reward. And I'd love to know in the comment section, or just generally if people tell me or write to me or whatever, and let me know what you think are the fairest ways I can pay back for people doing me a favour or whatnot. Or basically those who just support me and love me generally, or whatever it is. So here goes. So number one, whoever helps Italian football now, I think like for each pound they donate, or each notebook or piece of work they help me to write, or even if they help me to travel to Italy and share my ideas or whatever, for each thing they do that would benefit Italian football, if they can sit down and say this is how it would benefit Italian football, I hope to return the favour. As I say, now a pound in football is pretty much next to nothing, really, to be honest. You could say it's nothing, but if you take it literally, so like with a pound they couldn't do anything. But if you add it all up, as a principle, I dream that. Sorry, there's a lot more coherent in my head before I made the video. But as a principle, like for each pound donate, or each notebook they help me to write, or even each line they help me to write, so I hope to reward the favour. So, well, especially each line they help me to write. So, for instance, if they help me to, for each pound they donate, I could share like a website, or if say mosques, or if Muslims as individuals, or mosques or Muslim organisations or groups or whatever help me, I could share Quranic scriptures or literature or whatever you call them, quotes or whatever, and the same for Bible. So I think, like, what if I had a massive refill piece of paper or sheet of paper, well, it's not really one sheet of paper, but a refill pad, and it had 300 sheets, and each sheet I would say has 2 pages. So effectively one sheet is 2 pages. So if they had 300, that would be 600 pages, and normally the lines are about 54 or something like that. But I imagine if there was like 100 lines, that would be like, I worked out it'd be about 60,000 lines. But half of them, if I wrote half of them, I don't know how to get through that many ideas, but if I wrote half of them for, let's say, Italian football in blue ink, in a blue notebook, after each line I wrote, I would say if mosques help me, I would write a verse that they want me to write, which they could sit with me and dictate to me which verse. I say, I've written a line of my idea, and you can tell me what verse you would like me to write. Same with churches, Christian organisations, as individuals or organisations or whatnot. And again, same with like poets, artists, writers, or anyone who has projects. Could even be architects, business people, or whatever. If they want me to share a website or line about their business or whatever. The same for Celtic, same sort of deal. Again, a pound donation, or each line they help me to write, or each notebook they help me to write, or piece of work, or if they help me to travel to work with Celtic, or they just told me any way they could help Celtic. It could be donating footballs to the fans or things like that. Number 3, libertarianism. Number 4, supporting people from former colonies and tackling wars and helping poor people around the world. And also like things like forgiveness or those sorts of positive things. Number 5, helping to tackle poverty, alleviate suffering, and spread peace, love, joy, hope, and happiness. So whereas number 4 would be mainly for people from former colonies and about tackling wars and things like that, number 5 would be more about helping people, even if it's like in a developed country or so-called developed country, financially developed country like the UK or somewhere in Europe or the US or wherever, whereas like helping homeless people, or basically just alleviating suffering generally, and spreading peace, love, joy, hope, and happiness. All of which I think are noble things. Again, I hope to reward the favour. Number 6, helping people from what I call 6, and also like helping any of my works. It could be like my content creation, video creation, Facebook, YouTube, or writings, as I say, or things like that. So I'm a bit at 6 and 7s with my writings, as I say here in the UK. I think that's the saying. I think that's the right saying. So basically, I'm a bit mad very mad with my patterns, and I suppose my main mental health problem is that I have a problem with like wanting to keep notebooks. Like if I could, there's probably not a place in the world where I wouldn't have notebooks if I could, or things to write on, like even receipts, envelopes, or anything like that. But if anyone helps me with any of those writings, again, each line they help me to write. So imagine if a church gives me a room and they say, here's some paper to write on, and I would do my best to stick to the deal. So whatever lines I write for my idea, so it could be in blue notebooks for Italian football, blue ink or whatever, preferably. Could be green for Celtic, green and white for Celtic, like symbolically. It could be, I don't know what colour libertarian would be, but could be yellow for the Far East. That's a bit of a controversial one. Red for Native Americans, and black for Black empowerment, or brown notebooks for India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, or Bangladesh, brown countries I call them. Or any sort of writing that I get to write for people with learning disabilities or whatever. Again, each line they help me to write, I could write like so a verse from the Quran or from the Bible, or depending on who helps me, of course, and what they want me to write, so they could dictate to me what they want me to write. And again, I hope to return the favour by writing a line for each line, basically, or a verse for each line, or whatever. So, as I say, it's the fairest possible deal, i.e., like for like. But as I say, as anyone who helps any of my goals, ambitions, and plans, and things I want to work on, the childhood work I want to do, or anything like that, support people from, as I say, developing nations and former colonies. Number 7, as I say, with these sorts of things, I never want to sound too narcissistic, or I certainly don't want to be too narcissistic, but I'm not saying people should support me with those things, but anyone who does, I hope to return the favour, really. I think it's their sort of way, as I say. I don't want to be as fair as possible, which to me means you've got to be fair on both sides. It's a bit like scales or seesaw or whatever, but yeah, it's got to be fair to both parties or whatnot, both individuals or both parties. So yeah, but anyone, as I say, anyone who helps me with, I don't know why I said, but anyone who helps me with, like, help me to get rest, or help me to relax, or helps me with any of my goals, feeds me, shelters me, or anything like that, I hope to pay it back in the fairest possible way. So like my mum helped me with, like, keeping me a roof over my head, shelter and things like that, and food and things like that. So one thing I was thinking, like, just generally, I would encourage all people to treat their parents like their parents treat them. I think you should treat your parents when they're vulnerable like they treated you when you're vulnerable, just like anyone else, really. So if someone says, what do I owe my parents? If they brought you up, made sure you went to school, had shelter over your head, had enough to eat and drink and things like that, I think, and that kind of thing, I definitely think you should pay the favour back. And I suppose, to be honest, if they treat you bad, then I suppose you should probably if you could have a diary and just remember each time and write each thing, then I think that's a message to parents as well, to think like, may your children treat you when you're vulnerable as they treat you when you were vulnerable. But I'll say, if you beat your children, maybe when you're older, you deserve the same thing back. I don't know. Maybe I'm being harsh. I don't know. But I suppose it does go against the religious teaching and like spare the rod, spoil the child. But I do think most importantly, you should return the favour if your parents look after you. Like, think, oh, my parents put a roof over my head, they made sure I was safe, and things like that. And that kind of thing. I definitely think it's better to reward than punish if you can. I know as human beings, I think we focus more on the punishment and that kind of thing. But hope that made sense. Number 8, anyone who like encourages me and shows me love and stuff like that. Again, hope to return the favour. Anyone does anything for me, and I think it's a good thing, and they had good intentions at heart. Again, I hope to return the favour somehow in the fairest possible way. So I hope to find out ways to do so. Maybe even sit down with people and say, what is the fairest way I can pay back, especially in a positive way. Like maybe sometimes vengefully, but most importantly, like rewarding good behaviour. Number 9, again, anyone helps me when I'm writing. Again, each line they help me to write and make use of, most importantly. Like if I write it and then it gets thrown away or given away without my permission or things like that, then I suppose I don't really want to reward those sort of things. I think that's a bit pointless. But if they either have a recording of it or a picture, let's say they say, we don't want to encourage your hoarding, so but we'll try and find a way to make use of the ideas. As long as they help me with any project where I can feel hopefully proud, but not in an arrogant way. So that's what a lot of what these things are about, which I talk about. And but yeah, for each line they help me to write, I'll say. So a business, if a business helped me to write a line and they wanted me to share things about their products, goods and services, for each line they helped me to write, I could share information about their business, their website, maybe business cards, or post something positive about them, help with the PR, things like that. Same with a political party or whatever. If they helped any of my goals, I say I hope to return the favour. And number 10, whoever helps young people, and again helps homeless and most disadvantaged people, and supports any of my plans. But yeah, I'd love to know what you think, as ever. Hope this all made sense. And again, I'm in the mood for like trying to think of how can I pay back or reward, not so much punish, but more in a positive way, like reward those who help me and focus on those who help me the most. Anyway, I am out. Peace out.